Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Found out cheating wife is using a secret messenger to chatting with her ex. I have known my wife for 10 years, 5 years ago we got married, we have an 8-year-old son together and a 10-year-old from my first marriage. My previous wife passed away from childbirth and my now 10 years old survived. Back then, being a new dad with a new daughter was difficult, but my current wife, who was a close friend of my deceased wife at the time, helped nurse my newborn from the hospital. About a year after our son's birth, our relationship got taxed. My wife was dealing with some undiagnosed postpartum and was unhappy with her body. I did not do a great job of supporting. I'm not a good communicator and I gave up to a degree because I was sick of being rejected. Our Facebook lives looked great. Our home lives weren't bad, but we lacked intimacy. Not just sex, really any intimacy. To complicate matters, she suffers from misophonia, which is an auditory disorder where certain sounds trigger a fight or flight response. Unfortunately, the ones you are closest to you tend to be your biggest triggers. I'm an anxious person to begin with and have a terrible habit of picking my nails. This is a big trigger. I have tried very hard to make sure I curbed that habit. Apparently I'm a loud breather. Another trigger. Not much I can do about that one. Tough to feel close to someone who has a hard time being around you. She started to feel better about herself about a year ago. She sought treatment for misophonia. She started eating healthier and lost 60 pounds over the last year. We went on a trip early this year and it resulted in a great talk and a really fun time. We connected for the first time in years and things started to get back on track. Then COVID hit, and after being on lockdown with full-time jobs and homeschooling 2 kids, she about lost her mind. She sought individual counseling and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. She acted most of the time like she didn't want to be here and did not want me around. I knew her when her last long-term relationship ended. The things she said to me in May/June were exactly the same type of thing she said when she left her ex. Obviously, I freaked out and was not my best self. She claimed it was all about her and had nothing to do with me. We had reconnected with a group of her friends in late 2019 and started going to a lot of concerts together. When the lockdown started, we all got together every week and played online poker. We would also all get on Zoom to see each other. One of that group is a guy she met just before her last relationship ended. She actually lived with him for about 8 months after leaving her ex. She was in love with him then. He had a girlfriend and would cheat on her with my wayward wife and other women. Her and I reconnected shortly before she moved out of his house and he had made it clear he was not leaving his girlfriend. They ended up getting married. Mind you, back then in the beginning of our relationship, I didn't find out about him cheating with my wife the first time until about a year after we were together. My wife has known my daughter since the day she came home from the hospital and had become her primary caregiver with me by the time I found out. Not that it should excuse that, but a year into our relationship, things were good. I never saw this coming, but maybe I was just being naive. I became suspicious after the two of them were chatting a lot, but chalked it up to my paranoia. One night during a poker game, she set her phone down right beside me. I could easily see that she was chatting with a different guy on the line. What I saw was him saying he was going to open a private chat for them. She replied back, "Just wait for my husband to go to bed." After seeing that, I started investigating and found an encrypted chat program on her phone. The only one in her contact list was the friend who she used to live with. The program auto-deletes messages after 3 hours and she was super protective of her phone. Rarely did she leave it unattended. Eventually though, she made mistakes and I saw some chats. It was clear something was going on, but I didn't have 100% proof. I did read an exchange where he told her he loved her and she replied that she loved him too and always have. I must have got sloppy because I think they figured out I was spying, because all of a sudden, the chat program no longer listed him as a contact. I did some digging and found a new private chat program had been installed, and the first exchange they had was her saying she thought I was spying but wasn't sure. His reply clearly stated he was worried about what I knew and that if I had any proof he was FD. She said if I mentioned anything she was going to stick the "we are best friends and it is hard to understand since men and women can't be best friends" defense. I sat on this for a few weeks. We had already decided we would start marriage counseling, so I waited to see how that went. After our first session, we met one-on-one with the counselor and I told them what I knew and that I was going to confront her. I did, and she tried to play it off as friends. I told her I was spying and that I had read the messages. Her response was that things got pretty flirty, and I said it got way more than that. She shrugged it off but never admitted to it. Kept changing the subject back to the problems we had in our marriage. I told her I read the message about always loving him, and she said she did but that she wasn't in love with him. I asked if she was in love with me and she said she was. On our next counseling session, the therapist asked what had happened and I said that I gave her the chance to come clean and she didn't. She acted surprised, so I asked her again if she was cheating on me and she said that she had admitted it when we talked previously. I just about lost it. She claimed that she felt so alone and depressed and that is why she did it. She then proceeded to say that when I said it went a lot farther than flirting, that she said yes it did. That never happened. At any rate, in front of the therapist, she admitted to the affair but that no intercourse happened, but they did other stuff. After talking a while longer I said I didn't know if I could trust her, especially since she turned her location services off her phone and had secret chat programs. She said she turned the services back on and deleted the programs because she ended it weeks ago and wanted to try to work on our marriage. I decided this was now my decision because she said she wanted to work it out and I am not sure I have any chance of moving forward at this point. We have been living civilly. Sometimes it feels like we both want to try. Sometimes I can't stand to look at her. I finally stewed on it long enough and asked for more details. Turns out they first fooled around in July. He also rented a hotel room at least once. She expects me to believe that the two of them fooled around multiple times, with at least one of those times in a hotel room, and they didn't have sex. I called BS. I went a couple weeks without checking her phone but finally broke down. I saw one of the private chat programs was still there. I asked her why she lied about it and she played dumb. Oh, did I forget to delete one? I just about lost it again. I told her to stop lying and that I said right from the start that if I had any chance of forgiving her, she had to be 100% truthful. She broke down and said she hadn't deleted it in case she had to message him that I knew about them, but she had not used the program since she ended it weeks ago. I told her she was a liar and I didn't believe a damn word she says. That was 4 days ago and the last we have spoken about it. I see she has deleted it now, but what is to stop her from downloading it again and deleting it after more messages are sent? We are all also Facebook friends and still play poker every week. I see them interacting with each other all the time. Every comment on our loved post feels like a punch in the gut. I also know they are messaging each other on Facebook, but it is all innocent stuff. Mostly about our kids since they are friends. Even still, it hurts, and everything I have read says there must be a no contact policy. They are far from no contact. Right about now I know your guys are screaming at me to leave her. I understand, and I have not yet asked her to go no contact with the affair partner. I think it is needed now, but I have not told his wife. I wanted to. I have read tons of advice both for and against. From what I see on this site, it seems like I should. I am honestly torn on this. I feel like if it were me, I'd want to know. Telling his wife would surely end their marriage and ruin their family. They have a 7-year-old too, so I see that side of it. Other people I have spoken to say that if the affair partner is willing to disrespect me by banging my wife behind my back, then I should have no guilt destroying his own marriage, because by keeping it a secret I am just as guilty as him. I'm not sure what to do. Without telling his wife, it will be hard to ask for no contact because our friend group is quite large. It would be no contact with a massive group of people, which would raise a lot of questions. I have sought legal advice and I know what separation and/or divorce look like. I am going to get an STD test. Update: I had another talk with my wayward wife this morning and told her she needed to start no contact. No exceptions. She asked how she was supposed to do that given our circumstances, and I told her it wasn't my problem. She did this, she needs to figure it out and figure it out ASAP or we were done. She asked if I wanted her to move out and I said that sometimes I did, but I wasn't sure all of the time. If I tell to move out, I'm all alone with 2 kids, 2 dogs, a full-time job as we are heading into what looks like another lockdown. Having her here sucks, but unfortunately, I may not have a choice right now. Obviously, if she doesn't abide by no contact and do the work, she's out no matter what. I told her again I didn't believe they never had sex and that renting a hotel room to fool around was completely BS. By the way, they never stayed over as I think some people here thought. There have been no unexplained nights where she didn't come home or came home late. I believe they met during the day for a few hours at a time. Not that this any better, but I mention for clarity only. She said they used the time to talk and hang out like they used to. I said I knew what they used to do, so that didn't make me feel any better. She maintained the no intercourse line, and when I balked, her only excuse was that he couldn't last long enough to get to intercourse. I know I have to tell other betrayed spouse, but I would appreciate any advice from anyone who has done it. We are not close and me reaching out the blue is certainly going to be odd for her. I want to do it in person, but she is a very successful woman who just started a new job in the last few weeks. She is slammed already, and while I know she needs to know, I am worried about what this news will do to affect her professionally. Issue is, I am not sure where her new job is, and even if I knew, we are all still doing the COVID working from home thing here, so she doesn't go to the office anyway. Short of stalking her, I have no way to get to her without sending a message asking to meet. On the issue of proof, I have mine. My wayward wife admitted to enough that I don't need any more. In terms of what I can prove to the other betrayed spouse, that is tougher. I have the exchange where they were worried about what I know and what proof I had, but that is it. They did not fully admit to anything in that exchange, but I think it is pretty clear what they are talking about. Will she see it that way? Who knows? The other messages I read I was not able to save as my wayward wife had handed me the phone to do something for her. I looked at them and read as much as I could, while she was standing right there. No way for me to save them. I'm kind of lucky she didn't call my bluff when I told her I had read everything. The advice about doctor phone or other recovery programs is a good one, and I supposed I could try it, but the apps they were using were touted as secure and encrypted. I am not sure a recovery software would get me anything anyway. Anyone had experience recovering from apps like this? Hesitant to post the names of the apps here, but can PM anyone who wants to know. I'd hate to give other wayward spouse any ideas of how to hide their messages, although if these two figured it out, I'm sure anyone can find them easily, I guess. Yes, and I know. I should have known better. At the time, my wayward wife was single. Her affair partner was in a relationship with the other betrayed spouse, who he married a few years later. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.